Because we sacrificed, and now this is so counterintuitive, but you have to follow me here, you have to listen to me. Because we decided to sacrifice speed, we ended up being faster than the rest. Now you might be at the point in your life when you feel that you're starting to succeed. You're finally starting to get the results that you wanted, and all of your hard work is finally starting to pay off. The problem is, now that you've started to hit stride, you look left and right and you find out that other people are succeeding better than you. It could be your peers, your classmates, or worse, some of your friends are out succeeding you. And then you start to feel this strange, inexplicable feeling start to brew inside you. You don't know what it is at first, and then it starts to fester and grow until one day you cannot contain it anymore, and it transcends from the realm of thought into action. This feeling comes in many different names, but most commonly we know it as envy, jealousy, resentment. As humans, most of our thoughts lie inward of all of the hard work and sacrifice that we've put into ourselves. Sometimes we cannot understand why other people are out succeeding us. Now, the dangerous thing about jealousy and envy is that it turns us from humans into crabs. And what's the difference between humans and crabs? Human beings were built to cooperate, whereas crabs pull other crabs downward just to get out of the cauldron, sometimes into the fire. Jealousy and envy are feelings that lead us to downward spirals because they consume us. And instead of focusing on ourselves, jealousy and envy derails us from our own game and has us focusing on the success and failure of those around us, leading to a downward spiral that hurts those around us and ultimately ourselves. Here in the Yellow Pill Society, we don't hold that belief. We believe in the infinite game and the fact that all of us can be winners. That's why today, we're gonna save you from going down the path of self-destruction and ruin by giving you this one golden nugget of an idea. You wanna know why I want all of my friends to succeed and how this one idea has led to my own massive success as well? Try to listen until the end of the video to find out. And I'll also throw a bonus fable about the many-faced die. So watch until the end of the video, guys, if you wanna unlock your true potential for success. But how did we come up with this idea in the first place? Well, it all began when we started our law firm back in 2016. When we started LBBF on November 15, 2016, it was just me and my partner Paul. We were literal nobodies, guys. We weren't even notable lawyers. We just recently passed the bar and we decided to start our own law firm right off the bat. I'm sure a lot of our classmates laughed at us back then, but we were dead serious and we wanted to not just grow, but we intended to stay for the long haul as well. So we had to devise a system that would allow us to play long-term games with each other. Ultimately, we decided that the best way forward would be to adopt a general professional partnership scheme or a GPP or a sharing scheme. This meant that we would focus all of our resources, all of our time, and all of our earnings into one pot, and from there, divide it amongst the partners. Now, we didn't know this back then, but we were already starting to play the infinite sum game. Because of the simple decision to devote all of our resources, our time, our effort, and our earnings to the same pot, it allowed this pot to grow. And this pot is what has fueled our expansion throughout all of the future offices that we were to establish and all of the future lawyers that we were to recruit along our journey. The simple idea of going out on a quest and finding exceptional people to journey with you and to grow the common mission was the central theme to our narrative and how we grew as a law firm. Fast forward into the future, we now have 5 offices of LBBF, multiple independent businesses run by partners, internal and external to the law firm, and 20 lawyers and counting. But before we reached this point of considerable success, we also had our share of hardships. I remember back in 2018, when we opened our second branch of LBBF, there were a lot of non-believers back then. Literally, the older lawyers were laughing at us because they found out that our model was a GPP or sharing model. They told us that we wouldn't last the year, that we would end up fighting over the scraps instead of growing as a law firm. So I got the guys together, my 4 original partners from back in the day. We agreed that our plan to grow the pot and make the pie bigger and play a slow long-term game would pay off in the long run, and we would prove all of these non-believers wrong. And fast forward 6 years from 2018, I think I can say we have proved all the non-believers and naysayers wrong. It all started with a simple decision to commit to the mission and to play long-term games with long-term people. Because why would anyone fight over a share of a pie if we can make the pie big enough for everyone to share? That has been the center point of our story, and it leads us to one of the main ideas that I'm about to share with you today. This main idea of putting everything into a central system and everybody committing to the mission and taking just their fair share has become the blueprint of our business expansion over the years. Because from a law firm, we already have independent businesses run by us 5 partners and external partners as well. These businesses are real estate, business consultancy, and many more. This idea is the main idea that has allowed us to grow. As we started to grow and we started to add people to our group, it became fairly easy to spot out who were those capable of playing the long-term game. Internally, these were the people who were willing to commit to the main mission and take just a share or a fraction of the earnings for themselves at the end of the day. This flows from one of the central tenets that we have in the office. That is, if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go further, we go together. Externally also, we have built this network of friends and allies, and we spot them out as those we see as supportive of our success, even if they are running at a slower pace, as we are supportive of those who are running a faster pace than us, or who are outpacing us in terms of business success. This is really the secret sauce. We want everyone to succeed, and if they are succeeding within our framework, the better. Little did we know it back then, but we were already starting to play the infinite sum game. Now, the infinite sum game is a really important concept that would change how you approach business, yourself, and your life. As opposed to a zero-sum game, where in order to win, other people have to lose. Infinite sum games are games with no set rules. Now, if there are no set rules and the point of the game is just to keep on playing, then it means in infinite sum games, everyone can be winners. Now, in zero-sum games, in order for someone to win, somebody has to lose. And I think this was born out of a state of necessity, a state of scarcity in the world back then. Most of the traditional rules of man have been zero-sum, survival of the fittest being one. Back in the day, when we were starting to form civilized society, we were starting to form tribes, we were coming out of our caves and discovering fire, the resources were so scarce that it didn't make sense to share. In order for you to enjoy something, it necessarily means having to deprive someone of that same enjoyment. Back in the day, those who would get the best food sources and the best protection were the ones who could mate and survive. Back in the medieval times, only the kings and royalty were given the privilege of eating meat. Yes, back in the day, guys, eating meat was a big privilege afforded only to royalty. But looking at the world at this very zero-sum level also overlooks one historical aspect of man that has been creeping along all these ages. Man was meant to cooperate. One of the reasons why mankind has flourished in a world that's harsh and unforgiving is because of man's ability to cooperate. Because we bound ourselves together as tribes back in the day, it allowed us to take turns to watch over other people while others were allowed to sleep. It allowed us specific roles, which allowed the man to come out and hunt mammoths or animals that could not have been subdued if you were doing it by yourself. Cooperation is what has propelled man forward, from tribes, feudal society, to cities, to the modern society that we have today. So this is the setup that we wanted in our firm. We wanted to make sure that everyone was engaged, everyone would cooperate, and basically we would be working like a tribe. This is why we make sure that everyone has a specific role to play in our office. Everyone gets a specific share, including our staff. And yes, we call our employees stakeholders. This is the kind of engagement and cooperation we have fostered in our own group, allowed us to propel ourselves forward and outpace those who told us we wouldn't make it in the first place. Because how could they outwork us? How could they outsucceed us when we had more hands, more feet, and more heads working at our common mission every single day in, day out, over the days, over the weeks, over the months? You simply cannot beat a group effort and outwork a tribe all by yourself. And this, I think, is the secret to our success as a firm. We work together, we add people, especially those who understand that by working together, we can outpace and outsucceed the rest. And what happens to those outliers who are faster than us, who are bigger than us? Since we are playing an infinite game, we are playing our own game while they are playing their own game. We see their success as our success, being their friends. So we never get jealous. So you remember the saying, guys, if you want to go slow, go alone. But if you want to go further, go together. What we have achieved today comes at a cost and sacrifice. We sacrifice the obvious to counterintuitively arrive at the success that we have accomplished today. The obvious thing to sacrifice was speed. Because all of us decided in one way or another to share our profits, necessarily, all of this sharing eats into speed. As compared to some of our friends who are doing it lone wolf style or going by themselves, then they stand and fall at their own merits. They take bigger risks in the sense that all accountability falls onto them. But they take the highest rewards as well in the sense that they don't have to share it with everyone. Now, there's nothing wrong with being lone wolf, but I think if you approach it as a tribe and as a team, then you get to pick out the unique personalities of each individual and play everyone to their strengths and use the strengths of some of your team members to cover for the weaknesses of your other team members, myself included. It's like we're playing a game of chess, except we get to write our own rules and we get to say how the pieces function and we get to decide where best to deploy a certain individual, a certain skill set, a certain character trait. This allows for many different people to shine because extroverts have a certain skill set that's different from introverts, and sometimes they need each other to succeed. And sometimes the world is funny. You do the counter counterintuitive thing, and it turns out to be more effective than what others think. Because we sacrificed, and now this is so counterintuitive, but you have to follow me here, you have to listen to me. Because we decided to sacrifice speed, we ended up being faster than the rest. You know why? Even on my off days when I'm sick, the firm continues to move. Even on my holidays when I decide to take a break, the firm continues to move. Even on the baddest bads or the lowest lows of my day, I know confidently that someone in the firm is having peak day and his performance rubs off to my performance because we are a team and we are headed towards the same direction as a group. This is the Yellow Pill Society belief. This is why we do not allow envy or jealousy to creep into our heads. How can a person out-succeed you if you are on the same team? His success is your success, just as much as your success is his success. Right now in the firm, if somebody hits a lucky strike with a client or a transaction, then everybody is happy because we know that at the end of the day, it all redounds to the benefit of everyone. We treat each other as family and we work as a tribe and as a team. So this is the bonus content. I'd like to leave you with my favorite fable by Alex Hormozy. I'm sure you picked it up somewhere, but I heard it first from him. And this is the fable of the many-faced die. This one idea allows you to unlock your own success because instead of spending time being jealous of your friends, you can now spend it focused on yourself, playing your own game and running at your own pace. Are you ready? This is the parable of the many-faced die. Imagine you and a friend are playing a dice rolling game. You're each given one die. One of the die has 20 sides, the other has 200. On each die, only one side is green and the rest are red. The point of the game is simple. Roll green as many times as you can. The rules of the game are as follows. You can't see how many sides you have. You can only see if you roll red or green. If you roll green, one of your green sides turn red and you get to roll again. If you roll red, nothing happens and you get to roll again. The game ends when you stop rolling. And if you stop rolling, you lose. What do? You roll. When you roll red, you pick up the die and you roll again. When others roll green, you pick up the die and roll again. When you roll green, you pick up the die and roll again. You keep telling yourself one thing. The more I roll, the more greens I get. At first, you roll green once in a while. But as more red sides turn green, the greens happen more. With enough rolls, rolling green becomes a rule rather than the exception. What does your friend do? He rolls a few times and hits red each time. He sees you roll a green and complains that you must have a die with fewer sides. He reasons, it's the only way you could have rolled green before him. And although you did, you also rolled as many more times. So which is it? In either case, he rolls a few more times in frustration and hits a green. But now he complains about how long it took. He spent more time watching you and complaining than actually playing. Meanwhile, you've rolled your green streak. It's much easier for you, he tells himself. You get greens every time. This game is rigged. So what's the point? He quits. So who got the die with 20 sides? Who got the die with 200 sides? If you get the game, then you see, once you roll enough times, then the die you're given doesn't matter. Die with fewer sides might roll green sooner. Die with more sides might roll green later. But a die with a green side always has the chance of rolling green if you roll it. Every die hits its green streak when rolled enough times. All of us get a many-sided die. And looking at the other players, you have no idea if it's their 100th roll or their 100,000th. You don't know how good other players are when they start. You can only see how well they do now. But if you understand the game, you also know it doesn't matter. A few begin playing early, others begin much later. The rest sit on the sidelines complaining about how lucky the players are. I guess so, but they're luckier because they play. And when they hit red, which they do, they didn't quit. They rolled again. Learning to succeed in business is a lot like the game of the many-sided die. You do not know if it will work until you try. And when you start business, you'll probably hit red in your first few rolls. But if you try enough times, you will hit green. And when it works, then you have a better chance of getting it to work again and again and again. The more you do it, the easier it gets. You begin to understand the game now. No matter how many players there are or the number of sides of the die you're given, you start to see there are only two guarantees. One, the more times you roll, the better you get. Two, if you quit, you lose. So here's the final promise that Alex Hormozy made to all of us, which I think is the central part of this idea and this video, and I hope it will inspire you. You cannot lose if you do not quit. So that is the fable of the many-faced die, and I hope that you take it with you as you go through your own roller coaster of success and failure in life. I hope that with the Yellow Pill Society, we'll be able to teach young businessmen, young entrepreneurs, and the next generation of millionaires, such as yourself, that in order for you to win, other people don't have to lose, and all of us can win together. If you like to play long-term games with long-term people and you see yourself as a team player, please join us at the Yellow Pill Society. We will be discussing about business, about how to make it big, how to grow and learn and succeed together as a group. And if you've enjoyed this video so far, guys, please hit like and subscribe. It will tell the YouTube algorithm that this is good shit, and it would help us find those who are like us much quicker and faster. You might want to check out this video here, or you might want to subscribe to this guy here for more business and success content. I do hope I was able to help you out today and solve a little problem and somehow nudge you closer to your own inevitable success. Remember, guys, you cannot lose if you do not quit. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next Yellow Pill. Bye!